What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and it's Fresh Build Friday. That's right, we got a brand new coil for you guys to try out today. I've got something really fun to build today. I've got this iJoy Tornado tank, which we're going to be building on. And in here, we're not just doing a standard dual coil build. No, we're doing a quad coil build. And we're not doing a standard quad coil build. We're doing quad Claptons. That's right. This is going to be one for all you guys out there that love your smoke TFV4 or anything like that. You want the most amount of vapor production, you want to use the high watts, and you want flavor for days. This is definitely a flavor monster. So without further ado, let's go ahead and grab our mod, grab our addy, grab our wick, wire, and tools, and go down to the close-up view and build it up. Alright guys, so as you can see here, I am building the Clapton wire that we're going to be using today. I wanted to pre-build this because it's a lot easier for me to do that and then just kind of zip through that process. You can see I'm using the Clapton Jig Rig V2 from vaped3d.com, and I spun up about 2.5 feet or so of wire. I think I might have overshot a little bit, but that's actually not so bad. Better to have too much than not enough. Today we'll be using 26 and 36 gauge Nichrome 80 from Lightning Vapes. That's the type of wire that I'm using it for this particular build here. There we go. There's the final product there, and yeah, my goofy ass, but never mind that. Going back to the build, so yeah, so here we have the Tornado from iJoy. This is the T4 deck, I believe it's called. It's a 4-post, or rather 2-post 4-hole deck. I'm actually going to try to take this thing apart here. Here, we'll just take it off the rouleau real quick, and I'll show you the build deck we got working on here. And I took it out, took this build out today because I needed to rebuild it and re-wick it. So there's the actual build deck. So I've got the 2.5 millimeter on the coil jig. And that's what we're going to be using today. Otherwise, you can try 3 millimeter, but honestly, I feel like you're going to run out of space there. So let's go ahead and spin up our first coil. I'm going to leave everything right on this strand here because I feel like I might be right on the bubble. So I don't know if I made enough or what. So let's go ahead and do 10 wraps. This is going to cause a mess here. It's going to be a little bit more difficult getting this on camera, but we'll try our best here. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so that's a 10 wrap. Oh, Jesus, this thing is going all over the place. 10 wrap Clapton coil here, and I'll just get a close-up of that. So there you go. There's our first Clapton coil. I'm just going to go ahead and make 3 more of these, and then we'll start building. So there you go. We have our 4 Clapton coils all ready to go. Now let's get ready to install these things. So I'm just going to back off the camera. There. Good enough. So this is kind of like a moonshot style deck, I suppose. A mix between a moonshot and a velocity, I suppose. So what we need to do first is back off our screws. And it's almost easier to just kind of hand hold this thing. And if you have to put it down for a second, then you can use like the chimney or something like that. But I usually only put it down when I've got a coil fully installed, so this takes a little bit more time. I might have to accelerate a few little parts of this, but we shall see. All right, let's move that aside for right now. First step is just getting the bottom coils all set. So you want to just kind of get them right about where you can. Don't worry about cleanliness yet. That will come into play later. Right now you want to get these things as close to the post as possible. And when you get them there, you want to just kind of bend your extra wire over so that they stay in place real nice. Let's grab another coil and repeat that. And this gets pretty tight in here, so you're going to have to wiggle this stuff around quite a bit. There we go. These are already looking pretty good. This is a nice fun little project. The first time it took me quite a while because I didn't really know what I was doing. But after I figured everything out, it was a breeze. I was shocked at really how well this one actually works too. So now I'm just tightening up the bottom set of screws here. And you just want it nice and snug. Now another tricky part when it comes to this one is snipping the wire, so you just want to be very careful about it. Use the very tip of your snips. Hopefully you got good sharp ones, flush cuts like these here, because you really don't want a whole bunch of extra wire hanging around or anything like that. And you don't want to break your coils or snip your coils. So just use the very end of it. If you have to wiggle it out or something like that, that's fine. Come on, baby. Oh, oh, it's coming. I can feel it. Come on. I snipped the outer wire. Oh, there we go. There we go. Maybe not. Come on. There we go. That went flying. All right. Final one here. Oh, this one gave up a lot easier. Okay. So you're going to do a little bit of a preliminary cleanup on these. Oop, got a little scrap going on there. No big deal. So yeah, you want to do a preliminary cleanup. So just kind of get it close. You don't want to do too much work to these coils yet because you're going to have to redo it anyways after you install the other ones. But you want to seat these really low, not touching, but very low, and directly over that airflow. Don't worry too much if it looks ugly. It'll all be fixed up later. So there we go. We're looking pretty good. All right, so 2 coils installed. Now we got to work on the top 2. All right, guys, so as you can see, we have our quad coils built now. And now is the tricky part, because you got to put this thing together every time you want to pinch your coils. So you line everything up with the airflow like that, and then you screw it into the base, and that's really the only way this thing makes contact. So it's a bit more of a pain in the butt, but it's the only way you can do it, unfortunately. So tighten everything down there. And I have it at pretty low wattage. I mean, for a quad coil, it's only at 44 watts. And I'm just going to give them a little bit of heat, pinch them, a little more heat, pinch them. Just to make sure we don't have any hot spots or anything like that. This is barely even going to heat the wire up. And in between heatings, you just have to kind of let it sit for a minute. And then when it's cooled down, this chamber gets pretty scorching hot. So you want to give that a minute. Then we're going to take off this outer ring here. I'm going to neaten up the coils again, give it a little bit more heat, and just kind of repeat this process until everything's firing up evenly. So the next section I'm actually going to skip because it's pretty boring and labor intensive, and there's a lot of wait time in between. So I'm just going to do a quick jump cut and we'll move on. There we go. Everything's lighting up nice and evenly. I'm just going to let this sucker cool down and then we'll wick it. Alright, so the easiest way I found to wick this thing is just start off just by threading all your cotton through there and leave the ends very long. So you're going to see me do that accelerated now. Alright, so now we can just lift up the deck like that. Just basically you want to sort of line it up close to where you're going to have it. Like that. Be gentle about this right now. You just want to just kind of compress it a little bit. Then you're going to take your scissors and trim all that excess. So just kind of work your way around it like that. I know I'm a horrible cotton waster. You guys are going to yell at me, but I'm telling you, it saves a lot of hassle in the long run. Just try to get them as short as possible right there. Now what you can do, as long as everything looks good on the inside there, just go ahead and gently tuck it into place. Bam! Okay, so that wasn't too bad. That could have definitely gone worse. I'm just going to bring in the mod real quick. Screw everything all together. And I'm actually going to test fire this by just drenching those coils. Alright guys, let's just fire up these coils, make sure we have no hot spots. I usually give them a quick sniff test too to make sure don't have any dry burning kind of smells to it. Everything smells good to me, so I'm just going to pop the tank on real quick and we'll fill it up. And there we go. So let's go back to the main screen and have a quick talk about this build. Alright vapors, we are back. Now we're going to go over some of the finer points of this build that we just did in this iJoy Tornado tank. My first category, as always, is the heat. The heat on this one is a little bit too warm for my liking, but I feel like for the average vapor, I think it's going to be right around your comfort zone. It's definitely a warm to hot vape. I'm vaping it right now at 120 watts. The final resistance came out to 0.22 ohms. And it's currently at 5.14 volts, which is scorching for me. I like something a little bit cooler than that, but you can vape this at 100 watts and it's going to be a lot better on the heat department, but the ramp up is going to be killer, which leads me to my next category, which is the ramp up and ramp down time. At 100 watts, it's an average ramp up time of about 3 seconds or so, which is pretty long for me. I like to get going a little bit faster. You can purge this tank, but I don't really, generally speaking, I don't purge on tanks. However, you can on this one here, but with that being said, it's an extra long ramp up time at 100 watts. At 120 watts, that's reduced pretty much in half. You get about 1.5 seconds of ramp up time, and this one's definitely a sizzler. So after you release the button, you get about 2 to 3 seconds of sizzle time, sometimes a little bit more than that. I mean, you can even vape this all the way up to 150 watts. If so, you're going to get about probably 5 to 6 seconds of sizzle time, which I don't think is really a good thing. So I try to keep it right around the average, the median kind of temperature, ramp up, all that stuff. So I tend to keep it about 120 watts, and it gives me an average ramp up and ramp down time. My next category is the difficulty of this build. This one's a little bit more on the difficult side. I would recommend this if you really know your Claptons really well. If you can have the ability to spin up a long strand of wire about 2 feet long, Clapton all that at the same time, then I would recommend trying this one out. It's going to be a lot more difficult just doing individual Claptons because of the setup time and all that stuff. I mean, it did take me a good 15 minutes to spin up that much Clapton wire, even using the jig. So if you know your Claptons, then definitely give this a shot. Also, you have to be very vigilant about your build space. You don't want those coils sitting up too high because then it'll touch the top of the chamber, and you don't want them sitting so low that they're touching your airflow section or each other. So you've got to be very, very careful about that. But otherwise, I think it's a pretty medium, average kind of build. So yeah, I would suggest, trying this one out. If you're good with your coils, then give it a shot. Anyways, my final category is the flavor. The flavor on this one is spectacular. I get full-on flavor, even with this high of a temperature and this many watts. I'm getting full-on flavor. The flavor that I used in here today is the Feast by Hunger. This is a key lime milkshake, and it is definitely hitting the spot right now. I'm actually just going to blow a few quick clouds just so you guys can see a little bit more vapor production on this one, and then I'll explain a little bit more. As you guys can probably see, I'm fogging out my little studio here, and this is definitely one to do that, but I'm still getting amazing flavor out of it. I really like to say that it's because of those Clapton coils. You can't go wrong with Claptons. All those little nooks and crannies really have more flavor just kind of compacted in there, which is amazing. So if you love flavor and you love high wattage builds, then definitely give this one a shot. Anyways, guys, that about does it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Leave comments in the box below of what you thought of this build, or whether or not you want to try it for yourself, or anything you want to talk about. I'd love to discuss it down there with you guys. Of course, check out the description of this video. I have the advocacy links down there. Make sure you fight for your right to vape. Also, check me out on all my different social medias. I have Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you follow me on there. Like my page on Facebook for all my coverage of Vapor Slam. I'm going to be doing some live streams, so pay close attention to my Facebook page this weekend. Also, check me out on my Snapchat. I do random stuff on there, so definitely give that a look. And also, if you want to give me a couple bucks on my Patreon, I would be very thankful. So anyways, guys, that about wraps it up. And as always, vape on.